Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Sequel-A-Thon. I'm finally back on it after a bit of a break. Wasn't expected to have a break, but I explained it in a video, so yeah. And I also have my air conditioner on because it's hot. So, yeah. So we are back on Sequel-A-Thon. We were talking about 2004's Meet the Fockers. Hold on a minute. I know I forgot something. Meet the Fockers. There we go. Which came out 4 years after its original film, Meet the Parents. But does it take place 4 years later? I don't know because it doesn't seem like they would be engaged for 4 years. You know what I mean? I don't know. And then when this starts, they're 6 months away from the wedding. So, yeah. So, like I said, they're 6 months away from the wedding. And they're going down to Florida to meet Greg's parents. So let me just remind you, because it's been a while since I reviewed the first one. Honestly, both of these, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, I should have done in a birth month, because I was a teenager when these came out. So, but anyway, so we have the returning Robert De Niro as Jack Burns, Blythe Danner as his wife Dina, and then Terry Polo is back as their daughter Pam, and then of course Ben Stiller is back as Greg, or Gaylord Focker. New additions this time are Dustin Hoffman as Bernie Focker, Greg's dad, and Barbara Streisand is Roz Focker, Bernie's wife, Greg's mom, and then we have a baby, little Jack Burns. It wouldn't be Burns, because it's the oldest daughter, Debbie's son. Honestly, I don't really understand why the kid is here. Only thing I could think of when watching this was, well, what do they always do in a sequel? You have kids. But you can't have these characters have kids yet. It's not quite that time. So instead, you bring in this other kid that's not theirs, but you still have a kid involved. And really, the kids would be more important in the next one, but this, I don't know. And so the whole point of this is that the Burns parents are meeting the Focker parents, and they clash out. I gotta owie. There. And they clash. And, yeah. And we also continue the story of Greg not really telling the truth about everything, but also, on the other side, you have Jack, who doesn't trust anyone but his own family, and is always snooping around when he doesn't need, right? So you saw with the gag where Greg delivers a baby. He's like, "We named the baby after you." He's like, "No, I don't have to." Why would it say his full name? Why would it? It's just so that the joke is, his name is Gaylord. But why would that be on his name tag? It wouldn't. His professional name, Greg, would be on his name tag, not that. Greg is his professional name, his public name, the name he goes by. So why wouldn't it say Greg? It's just for a joke. It makes no sense other than it has to be there for the joke. And it doesn't make any sense to me. I keep poking it. So, they're going to fly. They fly to meet the Burnses. And then they're supposed to fly down to Florida. When they get there, of course, Jack, the control freak, decides, no, we're not going to take a plane. We're going to take an RV. Because Jack has to be in control of everything. And that's one of the biggest problems of this entire series. That Jack Burns needs to be in control of everything, and he hasn't learned anything from the first film. He hasn't learned from this one, if I remember the third one correctly. But there's the circle of trust, and he's got to be pig-headed. And they have this baby who knows sign language, because the twins, they got actually learned sign language. Poop. That's what I learned from this. Poop. 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 Stop it. Poop. 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 I said stop. There. Ow. Hey, what's the matter with you? Okay then. So they take the RV to Florida. Apparently that's faster than a plane. I don't, because they're like, oh, we're gonna take the RV. We're gonna get there faster. How? How is driving faster than a freaking plane? How? So before I get into the nitty gritty, I like this movie. I liked it. Just going back to watch it now, though, there are some things that I didn't like and was questioning. Like, the whole thing with Jorge Villalobos, it's like, yes, they cast the actor from Ash vs. Evil Dead. He does look a little bit like a Mexican Ben Stiller. I agree. But I don't know. It's one of those things where you put it in there, oh, this looks like the character, it could be his illegitimate son, but, like, and they're all pointing towards one thing, but if you do the math, it doesn't work. Right? And it also doesn't make any sense in continuity either. So, we get to there, we meet the Fockers, and we find out that Greg lost his virginity to the housekeeper when he was 15. Statutory rape is a thing. Right? Maybe, no, he was 19. Excuse me. Still a little icky, but he was 19. The supposed son is 15. It was 15 years ago that when he was 19. So what are they saying? He's 35? No, 33. So 10 would be 29. 25, excuse me. 19, 29. He'd be 29 plus 5. So 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. He's supposed to, you tell me Ben Stiller was 34 here? I don't know. He's supposed to be, I guess. But, I guess he was. But, so the whole thing hinges on when they go to the maid's house. Jack meets Jorge Villalobos, her son, who's 15, which would automatically mean he's not Greg's son, because if it was Greg's son, he would be 14, right? What's more is that she would have already been pregnant with the baby when she had the sex with Greg, right? Because, yeah, depending on what point, but yeah, she would have. If it happened 15 years ago, and he was born 15 years ago, either they were doing it while she was pregnant, or they had sex right after she delivered. But nobody seems to know she had the baby. So whoever wrote this fucking movie doesn't know basic fucking math. Sorry, I don't mean to yell. But, yes, whoever wrote this movie doesn't know math. And doesn't know how math works. Because it should have been 16 years ago when he was 18. They did it. Or the kid needs to be 14. By the way, the kid looks 25. So I don't know. But I don't know. Yeah, I didn't particularly care for that subplot. All it leads us to another subplot I don't like, where at the Focker reunion party or something that they're having, Jack doses him with true serum, which doesn't actually exist. Sodium pentothal, true serum. That's not what sodium pentothal is. Sodium pentothal, whatever it is not a true serum. It's It's persuadant. It's something that persuades you to go in a certain direction with things. It's not truth serum. It's I don't know. It's just not a truth serum. And it's not even what it acts like. He acts more like he's drunk than anything. Sure, he's telling the truth, but he's doing it more like he's drunk than anything. And then he admits that Jorge is his son. But if this is a truth serum, he wouldn't admit it. Because he knows it's not his son. He's like, oh, he's my son. I didn't know he exists. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, but wait. That makes no... What? It's a truth serum. It's supposed to be a truth serum. I don't know. No. Now I've had that subplot. And then, towards the end of the movie, I guess they decided there wasn't enough... That there was too much time left in the damn movie. So there's another subplot of sorts where Jack has had enough. He's mad at his family. He takes the baby in the RV and they drive off. So Greg and Bernie go after him. While doing that, they're speeding too fast and they're stopped by a cop played by Tim Blake Nelson. And because this is a movie, we have to have a movie cop where the cop doesn't let them say or do anything because the cop thinks he's in the right and no one else is. So when every time they try to talk to him, he's yelling at him, "Respect my authority." It's basically what he is. He's throwing around his weight. Like, at one point, Bernie gets out. He's like, "I get back in the vehicle, sir. Get back in the vehicle." And he's trying to talk to him. He's like, "I told you to get back in the vehicle." Like, he's not listening. And when Greg gets out, that causes problems. And then he uses the taser on him. Jack drives by during this, and then comes back to try to talk to him. And he gets tasered. Which, by the way, he tasered him right in the chest. That should have given him a heart attack of sorts. I don't know. Then all three of them end up in jail. Why was this here? It makes no sense. Because they're in there for about a cup of coffee because Roz, the mom, Roz Focker, who's a sex therapist I haven't mentioned yet, she helped with the judge's relationship. The judge was like, "Oh, let him go." And by the way, the judge is the dad from You Don't Mess with the Zohan. You know, does she know you're a faggot? That guy. He's the Zohan's father. And he's there, and he's, "Oh, you can go." No, before they hash it out, but it was like, wasn't there a thing in the first one where they ended up in jail? Why did we repeat that? I don't know. I just don't understand why that's there. And it's one of those things where the cops have to act that way, or we're not going to. If they actually listen and talk to people, we don't end up in that jail cell. And that's where they had to do it, because that's where they have to have the talk. And it really doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. There's a subplot where Pam is actually pregnant. It doesn't really add to anything. Not really. It just adds to more of the Frank being paranoid, right? And then not wanting to tell Frank. Everyone else finds out about it, though, because Roz figures it out because she's a sex therapist and she can tell. And then she tells Bernie, and then Dina finds out, so Jack's the only one that doesn't know. Not the baby, I guess, but no. There's also a scene that I guess it's supposed to be like the scene where he sets the house on fire and like the whole thing with the wedding thing and the mud and everything. Like, I think it's supposed to be like that, where he's watching the baby and he's not listening what Jack said. Or, "No, don't coddle him now. Don't coddle him. Coddle the child a little bit. He needs attention." They're doing the Ferber method of not showing attention to the kid. What the hell kind of idea is that? Anyway. So he doesn't listen. Apparently no one really listened. At least none of the Fockers did. And so Ross is like, "Hey, give him a little bit of bourbon or whatever. It's just a thimble to help with his teething." And it ends up with the kid turns on Scarface and glues his hands to a bottle of alcohol. And yeah. And then they come back to see like that. And Greg's got the fake nipple on. Because This is even weird. Because they're still breastfeeding, he made an exact replica of Debbie's nipple so the baby can feed off of it. I don't know how you got that, Jack. I don't know. Also, his RV is very CIA-ified. That's how they do a DNA test on Jorge Villalobos. Eventually find out it's not. But we never see the other side of that because while being controlled by the sodium pentothal, Greg announces to the world that Jorge is his son. And then Greg is told, nah, he's not your son. We find out the truth. He's not. I was wrong. But we never see the other side where he goes home and is like, Mama, you never told me Greg Focker was my son. No, he's not was my dad. No, he's not your dad. He's not your dad. Yeah, I don't know. But not only could it... What confuses me is Jack's like, nah, you're not the father. His father is a Mexican football player or something. And I'm like, wait. How can you tell that? You didn't have his DNA. Huh? I don't know. They also brought on the cat, Jinxie. And this time he's flushing the toilet. He flushes the dog down the toilet. A little dog. Down the toilet. The dog's blue for about a cup of coffee. He's not that blue for long. But, yeah. And it's really just playing off of Jack's a stick in the mud. Bernie's very outgoing, so it plays on that. They're opposites and stuff like that. By the end, everyone's okay. They're good with each other, and Roz just helped with their sex life. I thought there was more to it, but I guess there's not. No, it's just a little thing. And then they do, like in the last one where there's a recording, he's watching the recording and everything, and it's like, oh, hey, by the way, Pam's not really pregnant. We met it up so we can just get married, And I'm just kidding. Pam is pregnant, and yeah. I do like how Bernie's like, Uncle Jack is full of, Grandpa Jack is full of, he's full of, he's full of, Grandpa Jack is full of, he's full of. I like that. I do like that. Overall, I like this movie. There are parts of it that I don't care for. I don't think we needed the whole thing with the cops towards the end. Why did them bonding need to be in a jail cell? I don't understand it. And I didn't care for the whole could he be your son subplot where, like, if you're not going to have it be that it's his son, what's the point of putting it in there? It's just more for Jack to not trust. By the way, they never actually smooth out the whole situation because he thinks that the kid is his. So he overhears Roz, Bernie, and Greg talking about Pam being pregnant. They don't say the words in so much. They don't say it in so many words, but they're talking basically about it. He overhears like, oh, you're a father, blah, 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 blah. And so he thinks it's about Jorge. Because Jack's always got to be right in his mind. But the actors do a really good job. I'll say that. They have great chemistry. Bringing in these new characters works very well. I think it works. So, yeah. I'll definitely give this a middle of the road. High middle of the road. I still think the first. The first one I think is still a little bit better. This is still good. Then they made another one years later. I don't know how many years later, but they made another one. Little Fockers, which I don't know. And again, I don't know if this actually takes place 4 years later because they never say so. I can't imagine they'd be engaged for 4 years. Some people are engaged for a while, I guess, but I don't know. This feels like a direct continuation. Like, they got engaged and it's been like 4 or 5 months. I don't know. But, yeah. So what are your thoughts on Meet the Fockers? Look up so much, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.